Brian Leggett.
Ryan Lee.
Jason Beatty, Clemson Variety and Frame.
Doug Zerble.
Cameron Ferris.
Neil Burton.
John Duckworth.
Very good.
We have quorum.
We have a full group. All right. So we have the approval of the October. It's been a while.
I read the minutes that were presented in email and make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, carried. All right, so now we're up to, I guess we've got a new council member. Still have the old one.
You replaced one, John. You replaced one John with another John. I'm not gonna say
You got the good one now.
anything.
You went from a D to an F.
But the good news is it didn't cost us anything, so we have to redo his name tag at all, nameplate at all.
I made him bring this back.
Yes.
To bring it back.
It's like they give you the souvenir, and I got a call a week later. Please bring this back.
Recycling name tags.
Like, there's my souvenir.
So, we really had, let's see, the first January meeting was really kind of sitting in the crowd. And then the second January meeting, the only thing, it's only really one thing on the agenda, and that was about vested rights. And so we had the first reading on vested rights, and that was approved. So that was a good thing. And then we had our budget meeting, the first kind of, it's a budget priority setting meeting, so really we're talking a whole lot about numbers, but more about priorities. And so I was just going to kind of run through what those priorities we came up with, as far as there were several of them there. The number one priority was a comprehensive communication plan. And, you know, we get zinged all the time because not sharing, et cetera. We do share. It's just that people don't see it that much. It's out there on our city website and all, but it's like people choose to either not see it, not find it, or whatever the case may be. And then comment, obviously, on Nextdoor and on Facebook and everything. As you know, we now have a public information officer out there, and so she's actually done a really good job with updating and everything, but still, again, it's on it's on our website. So we're going to work on doing more there, trying to get out in front of it, be more reactive than proactive, and try to stay out in front of the people that want to do public service announcements for us. The second was a housing foundation, and just a little bit of background. I think some of you know that I'm involved with the Shaw Center, and so we do a lot of work, or try to do a lot of work on houses in our historic black neighborhoods, but not just there. Most of these are repairs in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, although a few of them have exceeded that. And the money's been raised mainly from the churches and a few grants and then some individual donations and all that. So the goal with the Housing Foundation would be that as we move forward with the developments that are coming, that we now begin to ask for so much per something, per bid. My view, and I think Nathan may agree a little bit, I don't know where he went to. Anyway, Nathan may agree a little bit, was that you charge so much per bid that goes into this foundation. And if let's just use, spilt milk at the hub, it was like 1,300 bids. Okay, that would have been, in my view, $1.3 million. It would have gone in that foundation, $1,000 a bid. And to them, that would have been nothing money, quite honestly, if you think about the size of that scope. But anyway, so going forward, I think you'll see us approach it in some form or fashion with some number like that. But the foundation, the money will be set up, and it'll be a group of people that will oversee that. It will not be the Shaw Center. The money will not go to the Shaw Center. But the money will be there, and you'll establish a board, and that board will be there. And so if I had a request for the Shaw Center, I'd come forward with a request. They would vet that request, and they would decide whether to give me the money or not give me the money. And it doesn't have to be just for that. It could be for other reasons. It could be used to build affordable houses. If it gets to be large, you could also use that for affordable housing and everything else. But it's something we've needed for a long, long time. So I feel like that will happen, and it will happen fairly quickly. The next one is to ensure we get more community participation as you go out with things like that. I mean, I think the most recent issue with that has been the comp plan. I think we're doing an excellent job with the comp plan, but there are some out there that say the community hasn't been as involved in that as they should be. So those are examples of trying to bring people in. And we do have the meetings, we schedule the meetings, but the people choose to not come, but then complain, as you could expect. And then the last was to continue with the infrastructure improvements plan as we go forward. So that's pretty much it. Those are our priority items. There were others on the list, but those were the top four. That's all I got right now. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. All right, moving on to Rebecca.
I think Nathan's taking that.
Oh, Nathan's going to take it?
I'll handle it. She can correct me.
Yeah, I don't know if John mentioned it, but one of the first things I'll say that came up at our council budget retreat. Did you talk about? Okay. Several council members have proposed to put in this year's budget just a comprehensive overview of parking for downtown. Redoing that, I know that I'm not gonna win any friends in this group with what I'm about to say, but we do parking downtown differently than every downtown in North America, especially every college downtown. Several council members pointed that out, and that in terms of where it's going to help me and Andy especially is as new developments come in, which they're going to, how many parking spaces, public parking spaces we need to allocate there, how many would, I think we all think we probably need an additional parking garage, but confirm that. And then I think we do some funky things downtown, like the first 30 minutes free on our parking thing that other municipalities aren't necessarily doing. Looking at that whole rate structure, I think is the intent. So that was proposed by at least 2 council members in that room. So I expect that to come up during budget time heavily. Wanted you all to be aware because it affects all of you out the gate. And then, so we'll very likely hire a firm to tell us what that looks like and go from there. That's number 1. Number 2, we're in the middle of the North Sloan Street employee parking project. We have suspended that work a little bit due to the weather. So the final next step is to lay that asphalt. They can't do that until we have weather that looks right. On that, those are going to be at least to downtown business owners at normal rate of $40 a space. There's 19 of those spaces, additional spaces that we're creating. We also are looking at potentially on up the road, there's a few more spaces we may be able to capture in this, but we're not sure that we're going to have to work with some additional property owners. We'll base that, who gets those, on need and sort of a categorical hierarchy. Basically, and I'm gonna run through that real quick, I've written down, we'll send those out, establish, determine the need, which business will be offered those spaces based on those that don't have any reserve spaces and are not currently in the prepaid meter program. B, that they are either active in the prepaid meter program, and then shift those employees away maybe from the downtown parking garage. C, businesses that are on the reserve space wait list, and D, any other remaining businesses that are interested. I don't think we'll get to D, but that's that. And then the on-street meter parking update, you guys know, I'm transparent as it gets. It's been a nightmare. We've had hardware issues. We've had software issues. We've shifted that go-live date multiple times. Right now, I am going to tell you March, and I hope I'm not in here in March telling you it's going to be April. But once our contractor confirms that, that the software contractor confirms that it can go live, you guys will be the first to know. Part of that holistic parking study is some of our software issues aren't really software issues, that they can't accomplish what the way we do parking in Clemson. They can do. So
The 30 minutes first.
30 minutes. So yeah, we're rewriting software to accommodate our uniqueness, and that's not potentially the best way to do things. So, but I am up here, so I'll take any parking questions or downtown questions that you might have while I'm here. I'm happy to.
The development of the old Planning and Codes building.
Mm-hmm.
There was some discussion back in October about bathrooms. How far along are they in that development? Were we able to intercept anybody, I guess?
I went to the council meeting to discuss it as a member of this committee. It was well received. City council was, we're constrained by the size of that property and budget, but city council was very open to modifying the design to add more bathrooms, basically as many bathrooms as we can squeeze in there.
Okay.
And it has gone basically back to the drawing board, and it's coming back. We'll probably see another, it'll be a little bit further. But they were open, everyone was on the same page, that 2 bathrooms is not enough. We'll do our best to get more.
Okay.
I think,
There was one more
I
question.
think I have I think I have a meeting with the contractor at the end of February to see the latest iteration, but I'll be happy to bring it to you guys next month if it doesn't go to council before then.
That'd be great. And we can do another working session too, if need be.
What I'll do is when I get it, I'll shoot out a PDF of it to you guys, and then we can schedule a work session.
Okay, sounds good. There was one other item that I wanted to make sure got captured. Brian, you and I were talking about this the other day, but in addition to providing more restroom space, one piece of this was that the chamber would be able to take up and utilize that lobby area, and it would be most beneficial if 1 or 2 of those restrooms had access from that lobby as well as from the outside.
Right. I think the way it's currently designed is that there are interior restrooms that don't connect to the outside, and they're separate, but there's just, frankly, a ton of bathrooms. But yeah, I mean, they will have access through the interior as well.
So we'll have the one little one by the office and then the 4 on the outside, is that
That's
kind of the
my
idea?
understanding, because we don't only need it, so I'm going to allow, most likely, my parking enforcement guys to use those interior restrooms as well, because they'll have a small desk in there to set their things, whatever they're called. And as well as during game days will need interior restrooms as well for the police that are going to be housed in there for a long time as well. So there'll be both, options for both.
As far as what you were saying, as far as the chamber is concerned, it was discussed that the lobby area would be like a welcome center. And so, you can go into welcome centers now that aren't necessarily manned to still provide that same service. So whether it's manned by the chamber when it's open or not, which I think would be great, but I mean, I think the plan would be for it to be essentially like a welcome center or an information center for not only downtown, but also the university as well.
So it's like a brochure bank and.
Yeah.
Well, we would
Maybe a-
officially call it a visitor center because we would be using visitor center funds.
Right, I mean, the intent is that,
Yeah.
people come in looking for information about Clemson and what's going on and everything else. I mean, just like a welcome center,
Yeah.
as you cross from state line to state line.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the building's a catch-all for all downtown city functions, so we're trying to, it's hard, that's good, because it's a space, but it's hard to design for all that at the same time, but, yeah, I think we had a good base, it's just a lot of tweaking now to fit all this stuff in.
So whose court, I guess, maybe it's in the other Nathan's court to set up a working session? Is he still running the project?
He is, but I'll be copied on those emails. So like I said, when I get them, I'll send it out to you guys, and then I'll have him schedule the meet. I'll write it down so I
Yeah,
can.
because until we get the drawings.
Yeah,
scheduled meetings.
he's being polite, but we were shell-shocked a little bit last time when he came because he had a design and we were all like, oh, some of us had never even seen it before. And so that's why we would like to make sure we're all included.
Yep, no, it's good.
You don't want to put the cart before the horse on this one, but I believe the feeling I got from the meeting that I went to spoke on our behalf is that we will be pleasantly surprised by the redraw. Because I think between our group and city council itself, there was, they felt the same way. Like, this looks nice and all, but it's not, it's like, it wasn't quite there. So I think that once they get the redraw and he'll email that to us, I think we'll probably then we'll revisit a work session to look at it.
Yeah, and you guys will still have some tweaks. I'll tell you, like, what we're fighting on our end is same thing you guys are well aware of as business owners. Is like the dollar doesn't go as far as we want it to. That's a really confined space for what we're trying. We're trying to make a catch-all building in a very tight space with how we have to accommodate dumpsters and everything else behind it. So there's a lot of constraints here, but yeah, there'll definitely be a redesign. I don't know, I'd say pleasantly surprised, but it'll be.
It'll be better than
more
it was.
pleasant. There'll be changes that will make you feel good. So yeah.
The other question, and maybe you already have the answer, is so we're talking about design and, you know, functionality.
Right.
The thing that we haven't touched on, and I don't know if you need this committee's help with, is how do we operate it? What are the hours? Who's responsible for X, Y, and Z? And is there something that is of need from this committee to help with that? Or
No, I think it would help council certainly if there was a strong opinion of how that should be done on your end, and then let council
work on the
determine that with
details?
Andy in terms of budget and staffing and all that. I think that's probably, no one's gonna get everything they want, we'll all meet somewhere in the middle type thing, but I think it would help, absolutely.
Okay. Well, in the working session, be thinking about that. Whoever wants to attend that working session will nail down some of the key components of that. Hours of operation of the lobby, the bathrooms, when should they be locked, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, because again, one of the constraints is gonna be, we can't have them open up in 24 hours a day, we know that.
Well, I think even at the last working session, we mentioned that it would be a daytime operation, because once somebody's in downtown past 7 PM,
They're in the
they're in the bars,
They're in the
in the
bar, the
restaurants.
They can go to the bathroom in the bars,
Yeah.
as you said, that's your customer
This is
now.
My fault, and I'll take care of it.
this is the daytime visitor.
Well, I think we had talked about 7 PM possibly shutting down the
Yeah.
bathrooms and all that. And I mean, Cameron, y'all need to call last call for bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to have time to
Last
clean
call.
them, obviously, before the next time
Right.
they're open, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be hard.
No, I don't think 24 hours, even for the nonsense that goes on after dark in downtown, we don't want them open 24 hours. So, but yeah, I think working session would be a perfect place to talk about that.
No, I'm in complete agreement. Yep,
I do have one item of new business that I would like to add. Do I hold it to the end, or
Does it pertain to what he's up there?
it's parking?
yeah, go for it.
The signs that are put up for special event that notify people coming into downtown that towing will be enforced, to me, are a little heavy-handed and very vague.
Okay.
It basically states that it's a special event day, towing will be enforced. I took a picture of one of the signs, but I can't find it in my photo
That's
reel.
okay, I have them downstairs.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
It says basically that towing will be enforced. I think it might be better if we reword that to say, special event, towing will be enforced, blank, and take an expo marker, dry erase marker, and write in the time that you're actually gonna start towing.
Okay.
Because you come in and those signs are up, I'm assuming are put up to let people know as they come in, which is great. The problem is I have people coming in thinking that they can't park at 10 AM when the event's not till 5 PM.
Right, okay.
So I think if we put a blank in there where it can be just the parking officer on that day, be like, okay, we're gonna start towing at 3 o'clock, to actually write 3 o'clock with a dry erase marker, and then there's no question as to how long they have before they have to move their car.
No, that's good. Yeah,
Okay.
that's super helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Lindsay, floor is yours.
I just wanted to real briefly go down just stuff that's happening. Rowing. We got teams in town.
They'll start about on the 27th of this month, we'll have teams here. And then March is gonna be really, really busy.
How many teams?
We have 36 teams
6
and
teams.
roughly 1,380 athletes.
From the middle of, the end of February through the.
All the way through
end of
March.
Yeah.
Yep.
They come during their spring breaks or something? Wow, okay.
For downtown, and I'm sure y'all know this, Ain't Patty's will be back again.
March 8th.
Alumni Spring Break, there'll be a concert downtown, that is the 21st of March. Clemson Music Fest is coming back, I'm sure you all know that. That's April 11th and 12th, and I'm sure you're also aware of the Savannah Bananas at the end of April on the 26th. Those are just some kind of big things that might impact.
Has there been discussion for the summer events yet? Are we going back on having the Tuesday downtown?
Yeah, it'll be Tuesday, every Tuesday, from the Tuesday after graduation through the last Tuesday in June. So it's 7 of them, I think. Yeah,
And we're not doing Patrick Square again this year?
we're not doing Patrick Square. And then, so Rick sent in an agenda item request because he wants to talk about things that this committee can do to spark some, to draw in businesses for residents and students. And then said, oh, I can't come to the meeting. So
Well done, Rick.
we can table this one till the next meeting unless someone has something that they would like to contribute to this
I don't know all-
vague agenda item.
Yeah, I don't know all Rick's thoughts about it, but I've kind of thought about it some just from transitioning from where it was to here and kind of listening to this group. And a lot of it, I think, needs some council direction, depending on what y'all think. But when you kind of look at the title of the group and then you think about like a lot of what we talk about, there's a lot of advisory, business, merchant advisory, enhancement of what's going on. How do we best utilize that? But then when I hear economic development in my mind, that conjures up something totally different. That is recruiting businesses. What are the types of businesses? And if we're enhancing, say, parking or different things for businesses downtown right now, that's great. And that's serving what's here and maybe similar type businesses. But if we want to bring in professional groups or different folks to occupy some of these spaces or things like that, to me, that's a little bit of a different bent than kind of what we've been doing. So I really would actually throw that to Fulmer and council and staff, if this group wanted to, is to really kind of define the roles. And maybe it's a separate group. Maybe this kind of becomes a city merchant advisory group, and then you have a whole different economic, or maybe this keeps the same role, but there's just a clear, like if you read the definition down here, study report, make recommendations to effort to promote quality economic development, including commercial, small business, research, and light industry. It's right there on the agenda. That, to me, feels a little different than kind of what we've worked through as this group before. So, and I don't know where Rick was going with all that. And Wilmer, Nathan, y'all are welcome to talk.
We actually talked about that during that session I just reported on a minute ago. It wasn't one that we prioritized, but trying to figure out a way to do more from an economic development perspective beyond what you guys are up to. And I mean, from a direction standpoint, we still got a lot of defining to go there, but I do feel like we've got to do more. Now, we got 7% vacancy, something like that? 7,
Yeah,
right?
I get the numbers wrong all the time. There's like 485 businesses in Clemson, and there's like 37 vacancies right now, which is about 7%.
Right.
And you hear about the ones downtown, but the majority of those are not downtown.
No, I mean, I was looking for Tiger Lily, talking about the florist and all that. Well, she's moved over to the Walmart over there, that little strip place there. She's left that location. And the UPS store is now moved into by Which, so there's a location there that's changed too. So things are moving around. It's not big spaces and all that, but we've got to do more. Not saying y'all, but we've got to do more as a community to go out and do economic development. It may need to be another entity that does that solely and go forward.
The chamber could definitely help with direction on that, because we go through leakage reports every month about what this community actually needs and where they're driving to get things to bring back to Clemson. A prime example is
That part would be helpful, but again, we need somebody to literally go out, or somebody, some group, or whatever the case may be, to go out and actually, recruit. But you got to realize that what we may want as a community isn't necessarily what wants to come here.
true.
So,
I mean,
I remember this coming up last year, and there was a remark about the way business licensing is structured in the city that might be detrimental to an engineering firm, a big engineering firm or whatever, coming in and headquartering in the city, because it is based on sales with those
Right.
$1 million contracts done outside the city. Just because they're headquartered here, would they be responsible for their business license and that kind of thing? So what's the appetite for council to look at that? Because if you're going to try and sell to a business, I mean.
I know, I understand that. I mean, I guess that's something we'd have to tackle when we got there.
I interject real quickly and just remind everybody that like business licensing is state mandated. There's not a lot of play in the taxation, the business license tax. So
Right.
just put that
I
out.
mean, I understand that's why Trail left, for example. And I mean, there are others, like other examples of smaller businesses that left for the same reason because of it. I do understand that. But again, I think we're getting, the cart before the horse as far as that's concerned. We need to decide who, but I need to find people that want to be here, not who we want here, because I think there's a lot of conversation around that.
And I feel, let's just say, businesses that are forward-facing to customers come in off the street. In Clemson, especially the downtown corridor, if any business is counting on parking spaces and traffic to fill their business, they're sadly mistaken. It is, on Saturday for the Duke game, parking was full and traffic was gridlocked. We still had an excellent day because I was counting on foot traffic. Foot traffic filled my business. Foot traffic filled most of the businesses downtown. People were parking farther away, the students were walking, the bus was running, and we had a great weekend. But when we look at economic development, it's what I think of, like John said, is some sort of firms that are not counting on someone coming in off the street. Software development, where you're taking anything where you're taking academic might and you're turning it into economic might. And that is a tough one to fill. And then, and then you think about, for taxation purposes, the city, do we want a bunch of, let's just say, tech nonprofits or something to come in here where they're making no profit and they're not paying no taxes? So that would be an easy one to fill jobs, because there would be no tax penalty for being in Clemson. But that's not really what the city needs. To diversify the city's economy, we need to have for-profits. We need capitalism to be hard at work. So, and I've broken record this. Y'all have heard me say this many, many times. I think of outside the box, the bell curve for business licenses, and that may not be capable because of state statute. But it's something to think about and maybe even bring to the state, is because Georgia allows it. Georgia allows business licenses to be based upon number of employees, which would, if you have a bell curve on that, you have a bunch of employees, you got less business license. These are the things that I think about when economic development, but how do we because there's plenty of academic might in this area, and how do we convert it to economic might? And those kind of jobs probably don't mind the traffic and don't mind the parking, because not as many people would be converting that might into money.
Well, they can be in the city and not downtown.
That's
Right, that's the whole
Spread
point.
beyond downtown.
That's right.
It's really to rethink the entire
else.
city
Yeah.
recruitment side of it. From the business licensing standpoint, I think when you find direction, and I really think it's maybe a subset of this group, staff and council kind of working together to help make some of this definition up, you find that type, then you look around the state where some of that is and look at what they're doing with their licensing and try to emulate it for that type of business. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Take theirs, maybe put a little different tread on it if you need to. But
Communities are doing, that if they can't do it with the license, they're doing it with some other grant, or, when someone revitalizes an old campus out here, let's say, a vacant building, and they revitalize the grant money or fees in lieu of taxes, that kind of thing. So,
Do we have clear direction on what kind of businesses we want? I mean, if we're going to consider what policies we need
so that's the
to
first.
attract things, it's what do we
But
want?
again, it goes back to what we want versus what wants to be here.
But I think that's a conflict, because the only thing coming in here seems to be chain stores. And
And I said this in front of
that's what the
council.
community wants.
I said this in front of council, when it comes, economic development stuff often comes through my department, but what we always hear is we want more. And I'm like, well, define more. Because the other comment, and this is offensive to everyone here now, I'm looking around the room, is we don't want any more beer and pizza places. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but you have to list, until I get a list from council or you guys or the citizens of we want these stores, we're throwing darts.
Is it just stores though? Is it other types of businesses?
Yes, or is it other, we want an engineering firm in the city. Until we get that, there's nothing to go after until we know exactly what those are.
But that's Brian's point. That's where I think you need a subset of this group and council and staff to work together and make definitions of what you want But also, who's gonna handle it? Is it a separate group, as Mr. Fulmer alluded to, and is one group more advisory for existing conditions and doing things, and is another group truly kind of in the recruiting? And obviously, there's some overlap in that, but I just think it's a little reimagining of how we're doing
Absolutely.
things totally.
Because Rick was at your pie the other day, and we were talking about this before he went to Arizona and put this on the agenda. I have a little more color to add too. So back when we were going through Clemson Next, and we were kind of getting a little bit more specifics around what we wanted to do when we grew up, right? As that, and that morphed into the comp plan. There were some ideas, and how do we actually make those come to life? And is there anything we can do to kind of push that?
Okay.
I think from that standpoint is where he was driving. When are we going to do something with that to try to make that happen? And John, you hit on, I think one of the key points is, how are we going to go recruit what we want? Once we figure out what we want, how are we going to recruit that in? There's several avenues, and the Clemson Next, I think one of the recommendations, which we probably don't have the budget for, was that development director. Who's that, that position, if you will. So you got somebody who's actually physically responsible in their job to kind of take all of these inputs and put a vision together and start recruiting. This is something that we're probably not going to solve in a 1-hour meeting once every other month, but it's a great topic. If there's enough energy, this is a great thing for us to do another working session.
It was, like I say, it was discussed when we did our budgeting meeting and everything. I think one thing I wanted to comment on is that we all need to be really congratulating the Potbelly Deli for taking, I mean, I know they got forced out of where they are, but I think most of you have seen where they're going into. And they have done a remarkable job with that building that was really insane.
It was a great repurposing.
Any idea
Doug,
when
I
it's gonna
think-
open?
But it should be opening any day.
I'd probably maybe make a recommendation that we ask council to form a group to do that. Let them kind of then reach out and pick a couple people as opposed to taking off on a working group just on this. Let them be engaged on the front end with staff, council, and this group perhaps to kind of. So there's some.
Does the city need another advisory board?
Yeah, I don't know that it does or not, but I'm
I
saying
would
we
say
got to
that.
identify what we're doing
Yeah,
first.
but we need to maybe pull our focus into economic development.
Yes.
Instead of parking and the design of a building. I think that we maybe, sometimes we stretch a little bit.
Yeah, an example of, I think, where we made some really good gains is to work on how we develop mixed use and some of the kind of the new thinking and some requirements around that. We need to do more of that.
And what the public sees about new business in Clemson is a lot of that is renderings from a developer who's, spitballing a plan. They draw the nice, beautiful apartment complex. On the base layer, they draw in Trader Joe's or something, which they don't. That's not happening. It just looks good in the picture. So then the people, the citizens of Clemson see that, like, okay, maybe we'll get that, and then when we don't, we get another pizza place or a beer joint. Then they're like, well, that didn't work out for us at all. But we have to. But economic development. How do we get? And the big stores, it's difficult for the non-chain store to come in here. Exceedingly difficult. And then the chain stores, the big franchises of the world, they already have a plan, and it's triggered by numbers alone. They're not going to. Trader Joe's isn't coming here until a number comes up that this many people and this is the medium income of this area, and they will do it. Yeah. So, but to economic development, if we were to get someone an engineering firm, consulting firms, to reach out to that kind of economic development, because no one wants a lead smelter in Clemson, okay? No one wants heavy industry. Everyone wants the industry that looks good, smells good, feels good. So that's what we're facing. And if we have a work session, then we need to sit down and come up with realistic ways that the city can, within the letter of the law, encourage new business. That's, you know, how do we encourage new business within the letter of state statute? And that would be the first way to economic, and the second way would be to have, once we've discovered the carrots, then we need to take those carrots out into the market and show the carrot to the mules and get them to pull. So.
All right. In the interest of efficiency of time here, let's, we won't have a clear action item to delineate in today's meeting, but let's carry this topic to the next meeting. And hopefully by then we'll be smart enough to come up with a way to kind of get some action going around this topic. Is that fair? You guys good with that?
Is there somebody we want to, if we're going to sort of punt this, is there somebody we want to talk to in the interim or at that meeting? Or are there resources that we need to discuss that more?
I think looking at all the Clemson Next and the comp plan stuff is going to yield some flavor. Probably not enough specifics, but some flavor around what.
And then have if we can get from city staff help, the limitations of the state statutes on business licenses, because that's the lowest hanging fruit. That's what I always think about.
And there's 3 council members before the next one, so just because this group's putting off conversation, they can have some meetings too and start putting some parameters around how they want to progress. Because again, we serve at their direction and pleasure, so they can kind of, I think they need to start framing some of that as well also, and that way it doesn't sit idle until April.
Yeah.
Would just be my suggestion, would be for staff and council to kind of start at least engaging on a loose framework. And I think that will make our conversations more productive also, because it doesn't do good for us to be chasing the mules and they're over here looking at some horses.
That's right. And the citizens of Clemson are going to see some rapid construction that is completely out of the control of the city of Clemson. Across the river in different municipalities, there's going to be some rapid growth, and that will cause some growing pains here. And the reason that growth is happening is because it became easier to do it there than it was to do it here. So, and maybe we didn't want it here as citizens of Clemson. Maybe we didn't want that particular growth, but it's happening right on our borders. So we need to find out a way to have growth that is appealing. And that growth may be, you know, I've had a council member tell me once that our number one industry is student housing. And we're about topped out on that, so now that industry is moving across on the other side of our municipality to other jurisdictions. So now we need to find a way to we'll never outdo student housing, but if we could draw economic development that's not student housing, maybe in small little tiny pieces. If we were to get 2 consulting firms in the next 10 years, I'd take that as a win. If we could get 1 engineering firm, 1 architecture firm, 1, software firm, any of that would be a win, because now it's not offensive, it's not, it's not the same old, but it would be something that
Save that for when
yes, I'll be quiet.
we start cranking on that. Any other business to discuss today? Discussion items? What does that say?
I wanted to mention to you, you talked about Only Avenue downtown.
Yeah.
Starting June, they're gonna be doing the downtown streetscape.
Yes.
So are you gonna be able to operate around all that?
Yes.
She's got a plan.
You got it. Just check it.
Just move up Earl Street.
Yeah.
We are gonna move it that way.
Okay.
And when we start the streetscape, things like this, the downtown music on Tuesday nights, if we can really get the community to mobilize behind those businesses that are going to be affected by the construction, this would be a way for the community to show their real support for them. Because it's going to be tough for some people for just a bit. So,
That might be something we can put in our newsletter,
yeah.
just educate them a little bit about what's coming and what to expect.
And the businesses that are right there that are going to take the brunt of it they're going to need all the help that we can get. And in apples to apples, There's 2 municipalities in the upstate that just went through this within the last 5 to 7 years, and it was rough, you know.
I have a couple of things. One, John Shaughnessy was appointed to this group. He is the owner of Mojo. He's the 93 seat, Highway 93 seat. Mr. Duckworth right here was appointed as a resident in a resident seat to take over Anna Duke's, her seat because she moved out of the area. And also, council, and you might be able to speak more to this, they are really going to start paying attention to attendance to boards and commissions. And there may even be a move to, like, if you miss so many consecutive meetings, that it's an automatic removal. It's not like right now how it's handled is, at least with this one, you guys determine whether the absence is something that you want to push to council to have that seat, replaced. The discussion is that will not be that way, that it's just an automatic. If you don't attend,
That seems fair.
then you are replaced so that these boards and commissions can do the business that they need to do.
I have a question on that, because Rick and I have the same problem with this, in that we have jobs that take us out of the area regularly. Is it possible to participate in these remotely when they happen? It's because of the, okay.
No, we had to draw the line. We did for a long time after COVID, and then we had to draw the line on that. There's the technical support that's required for that is too much of a burden on staff, and when you have to take into account all the boards and commissions that we have, and it's an in-person, you need to be in person. I will say though that like
I've only missed one.
your
but-
attendance is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is every other month, so it shouldn't be that big. I mean, it's gonna be a push down from the top. Okay, so we're gonna be keeping up with the attendance and everything. And I
Do you
mean,
have substitutes? I know that I could, but I don't vote. So I know I can send somebody to represent me, but I don't vote. So can they have substitutes?
Not for a voting member.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
but I mean, there have been some abusers and not on some other boards and commissions, and so this is an effort to stop it completely. So we'll keep up with keep the roll, and it'll be pushed down from the
Well,
top.
and then this is also, I feel like this committee is kind of, it's on its own anyway, because you've got voting members and non-voting members. You've got, appointed people that don't rotate off. It meets every other month. It's a little bit, it's not quite as cookie cutter as all the other boards and commissions that we have, but attendance is still important. And when you do have to, especially if you want to push a recommendation up to council, you need to have your quorum, and you need to have the discussion needs to have everybody involved in it. So that's why attendance is important.
Okay. Any other topics? Old business?
You need to vote in your new.
Yeah,
I was
we
gonna
got-
say, do we need to make that as a recommendation to council that they take the economic piece under advisement, or is that just something that we share and say, hey, you guys do this?
I don't know.
I think between Nathan, Lindsay, and John, they got the direction, I feel
We are
like.
picking up what you're putting down.
And we're carrying it to the next meeting too,
Yes.
so we won't lose it. It's gonna be like parking was for 2 years.
No.
Parking.
I like how he said was.
All right. Now that you have the job, parking's not gonna be an issue. All right, on new business, we've got to elect our officers for this year. And that means, I guess I'm out as chairman, not out.
Unless someone nominates you again.
I nominate Doug to be chairman yet again.
Seconded.
You okay with that, Doug?
I'm okay with it. I threw it out at you and you didn't answer, so I figured you didn't want me to
Well, I was about to yell
nominate
not
you.
it, so.
What's that?
I was about to yell not it, so.
I'm too long-winded and repeat myself too much.
What?
I'm too long-winded and repeat myself.
Good bait, right? Yeah.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we need a vice chair.
I can,
I'll nominate Cameron.
I'll second.
all
All
right,
in favor?
Aye.
there we go.
You're it.
Well, now the attendance policy, you'll be here every time.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to
I
be a
don't
pro
think I've
tem.
missed.
Yeah.
But when I got the letter, I'm like, have I missed? Did you guys get a letter?
I got a letter.
I did get a letter.
It's signed.
Signed by Robert.
Everybody got a letter.
Right after I missed the
All
one
guys
meeting I
children got a
missed.
letter.
I got a letter.
Mayor.
Because you were in limbo between going, I mean,
I said, I just didn't get a letter.
you're not everybody. So
All right,
there-
anything else?
There's no official recommendations
Right.
to council. There's no official work session date that's been set, but it's out there. It'll come.
Well, there's two potential ones, right? One is around the new facility, and the second is when we get more clarity around what to drive for growth.
Do we need to talk about an April meeting, because April is a jam-packed month?
April the 8th.
Well, yeah.
So we got the 5th is the spring game.
It-
Yeah, we left the spring game off the April events. That's be another good one.
I looked at it.
The
I
8th,
don't know why I didn't say it.
Good.
April 8th, sound good for everybody?
Well, it's the,
That's the second.
I mean, it's
Tuesday.
the,
Yeah.
it's the set meeting day, is it not? Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you for sending the dates, by the way, that was super
Yep,
helpful.
that was helpful.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I got lost a little bit. I'm like, I think we're meeting next week.
I know.
I'm glad you sent that, because I didn't have it on my calendar.
Excellent. April 8th.
All right, meeting is officially